Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like to begin by thanking Schneider for giving me this opportunity. We've had a great relationship with Schneider. Netmagic and NTT, basically, we build many data centers in the country, and we are pioneers in cloud computing and managed services for customers across the country. So our relationship with Schneider has been right from our inception, which was in the year 2000. Our data center business, Schneider provided us UPSs and a lot of other things. And we continue to have this great relationship. And at their, invitation, I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to share our journey. And whatever little I can help, I'll be happy to share. So I'll speak a little bit about the challenges that we've faced over the last 20 years, and also what are some of the innovation that we've done to overcome these challenges, and how we have to continue to innovate to be relevant in this industry. So let's start with the business challenges. So, data centers, as you know, are very capital intensive. Depending on the tiering of data center that you build, it could be anywhere from 25,000 upwards per square foot is the kind of investment that goes. And we have over 1 million square foot in India. So you can imagine it's a very capital intensive industry. And the fundamental, earlier when we started the business, we would have customers taking these physical standalone servers in racks, right? And then came the advent of virtualization and cloud computing. And suddenly, what would require multiple racks to accommodate could be accommodated in a single server, right? With the advent of virtualization. That posed two challenges. One, do we still continue to build large footprints? If everything is shrinking, do we still need to continue to build such large businesses? And second, even the energy, the power per rack or the rack density became very, very high. We started, I remember, in 2000 with 3 kVA per rack, and now we are doing loads much higher, 5-6 times higher than that. There's also global competition. So the cloud computing, we are the largest Indian cloud computing service provider in the country, but we have the global hyperscalers. I think the next speaker is one of them, I think Anand from Microsoft, and also we have players like Amazon and others as well. So we have global hyperscalers in this market. And so how do you compete with them, right, with the kind of scale that they have? So these are some of the challenges that we faced. So we continue to innovate, right? And this innovation is across the entire organization, right? So it starts with the very first thing was when we started with cloud computing back in 2009, right? And as I said, the customer footprint reduced drastically. Our sales team started questioning, saying that, why should we do cloud, right? Because you are going to shrink your revenue per customer, and you're going to shrink the footprint of your data centers. But we knew that if we didn't do that, right, we would be irrelevant soon. So we were the first players in India to do that. Now we have a challenge where you have multiple hyperscalers, right, as I mentioned. So should we just try and again spend something that somebody's already done? Our thought was we'll partner with them rather than compete with them only. And so now what we've done is we've adopted a model of multi-cloud. So through a common customer interface, we can provision, monitor, and manage IT infrastructure across multiple cloud. And that is something that we've done successfully in India. The other thing, we are part of NTT Communications. Netmagic was acquired by NTT Communications a few years back. And the NTT vision is software-defined everything which is completely managed, or what they call as SDX plus M. So there's a lot of innovation there as well for us to remain relevant. And we do software-defined compute, storage, and network, both local area within the data center and wide area networks. We are one of the first to launch these products in India. And these are completely managed. So we want the customer to completely outsource to us so that he or she doesn't have to worry about the uptime and the sustenance of this infrastructure. The other innovation we've done is on data analytics. A lot of analytics we do for not only for our business, the business MIS, analyzing that, but also on operations to try to predict failures. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing there, not only on the IT side, but also on the data center infrastructure side with the help of companies like Schneider. Also on customer support, we have automated bots and we do a lot of autonomics so that repeated failures we could predict in advance using AI and machine learning tools and then automatically fix them, right? Again, this is early days, and as time progresses, we'll do more and more in this area. And of course, there is the intelligent data center, right? And that is the smart data center that you heard Schneider talking about. I think almost 70% of our data center is powered by Schneider. And so I won't go into that. You'll hear enough of that in this conference. But happy to take questions at the end. What are some of the areas of digital transformation? So I thought I'll just present a framework that we follow in our organization. So whether it's products, whether it's the entire organization itself, whether it's customers or processes and systems, we've done some kind of digitization in each of these areas. So when it comes to products and services, everything should be on a pay-per-use basis. So even not only the cloud, which is by definition pay-per-use, but also all our other products and services, we're now adopting the pay-per-use model. We do complete automation right from the time there's a prospect till the time the customer is signed or contract is signed, customer goes live, service delivery, and also operations. So complete workflow automation we've achieved over the last few years. Even our invoices are digital invoices. Now although in India you still have to send the paper invoices, otherwise customers don't pay. But hopefully that will change. We have more and more adoption of customers willing to pay on digital invoicing. In terms of the organization, a lot of our collaboration between our employees is all digital. From our HRMS system to our systems like SharePoint and others, we've adopted that across the company. Our knowledge base or repository, we have an internal portal that helps us share information and best practices as you grow and as you have multiple locations. We also have to share this with entity companies across the world. Just to let you know, Entity Communications is a Fortune 50 company which is present in about 150 countries with over 275,000 people. So we have to collaborate with all of them, and so therefore we need to have a lot of tools and technology to be able to do that. From a customer perspective, we want to make sure that the customer experience is very good, and right from the portal, when the customer signs up, is able to seamlessly monitor and manage the infrastructure that is outsourced to us. He should be able to see his invoicing, he should be able to see the uptime of all his equipment and also the uptime of his applications. So, and this we now doing not only on our own infrastructure, but also on partner infrastructure from Microsoft and Amazon. And of course, provide support and analytics. From a process and systems perspective, because we want to be customer-centric and nimble, as well as be available to the customer around the clock, we have adopted an end-to-end digital workflow, which gives us information on our fingertips on applications that we have, so that we can respond to the customer. If something goes down, we should find out before the customer does, and we've achieved that successfully with the transformation that we've done. Of course, this is a work in progress. Always, there's always room for improvement, and we continue to innovate there. I'll spend a little bit of time on our cloud management platform as an example of some of the digital innovation that we've done. As I said, we started with our own cloud in 2009, and last year, in the last couple of years, we've had the global hyperscalers come into India. Initially, we thought we'll compete with them, and so I'll cover later that there was an organizational, cultural issue that I had to overcome. But eventually, we decided that we want to own the customer, and it doesn't matter if the platform that the customer uses is of a partner, right? And we've managed to have a single interface that can seamlessly manage customer infrastructure across multiple clouds. And that's the reality. In India, you'll have most organizations having infrastructure, not only in private data centers, but also on multiple cloud. There's a lot of shadow IT that you see these days. So with this, we can actually address that entire market. And this is a single pane of glass, so very easy to use for the customer. I want to make, although this doesn't directly fit into this conversation, but all this talk of digital, right? Whether it's smart cities we talked about, whether it's in the past we talked about Aadhaar, the most important element for us is cybersecurity. It's one of the key focuses of our organization. You have information coming from multiple sources. And how do you analyze this in real time, coming from multiple sources and making sure that the system is secure and it is available all the time against attacks? We have some very, very mission critical customers, and the amount of attacks that we are seeing these days is unprecedented. I remember when I started Netmagic, we used to see an occasional attack maybe once a few months. And now we are seeing 10 times the scale of these attacks every single hour, right, across multiple customers. So, I mean, denial of service attacks, which used to be like a few megabits, have now gone to 1.4 terabits per second, right? It went to megabits, then went to gigabits, and now it's actually crossed several gigabits. And if that kind of attack hits India, we don't have, unless you come up with some innovation, we don't have the infrastructure to protect against that. So there's a lot of innovation. There are companies that are doing this innovation, and we need to partner with these companies to be able to prevent, remain up. I don't think, one of the things I've noticed in India in general, right, and things are changing now, is customers don't want to spend for disaster recovery and security, right? Most people are happy, this is like insurance. Oh, if it hits us, we'll look at it. I think you've seen attacks across the world. You've seen major disasters across the world. And it's high time that we do take this seriously even in the country, right? Because otherwise, all these fancy programs, whether it's in the enterprise or whether it's government, you'll see it on the front page in the newspaper one of these days that something big has happened, right? We've been fortunate that there's nothing major. There have been a couple of leaks, but there's nothing major that's happened. But it's only a matter of time. The other thing is, there's been a paradigm shift when you talk about cloud computing. The way earlier customers used to work with service providers like us, we kind of controlled everything. It would take 3 or 4 weeks for the customer to go live. They would have to enter into long-term contracts. But that the world has changed. The customer wants control. So everything has to be given to the customer through a simple, easy-to-use interface. And the customer can switch from one provider to another literally overnight. So customer retention is a very, very big challenge. So if you don't innovate, customer retention is impossible. Some of the, I had the previous speakers speak a lot about IoT. I thought I'll give you a couple of examples of how IoT is being used today, both by customers and by us internally. So by customers, for example, we have customers doing smart metering. So the meters have smart IP, have IP addresses, and you can, they don't have to send a person to electricity meters to actually measure the usage consumption. You can do it remotely. We're also seeing, we have a customer that actually does this TV ratings. So they've got these smart meters that measure which channel you're switching on television. There's a company called Bark that has got, I think, a few 100,000 of these across the country. And all of this data comes to our cloud, and then we use data analytics to kind of make meaningful use out of that data. And of course, we also use this within our data centers. I'm more an IT person, and I'm addressing a lot of people here who are infrastructure specialists. So I think it's only fair to give you an example of how we're using this with smart probes to actually figure out if there's an additional compressor running on an air conditioner that we can shut off automatically and things like that. So we have, building management systems, and we are looking at even the software that the Schneider speaker spoke about to see how we can use IoT to increase our efficiency. Because we want to be environmental friendly, and not only that, the beauty is in our business, being environmental friendly also is good in terms of profitability, right? So it's a win-win for us. I'll quickly touch upon the partner ecosystem. Many of our partners are also Schneider's partners, and I've met many of them, whether it's Tata Power, whether it's our landlords, and whether it's our people, various integrators who've done amazing work for us, and of course Schneider. So I thought I'll just spend a little bit of time on the partner ecosystem. So what we'd like to do with partners is to do joint product development. We're doing this with some of our IT partners. We'd also like to do this with companies like Schneider, where they take some of our feedback and actually come. And actually, I know Venkat from when he was at earlier when for APW had done customized racks for us. So Schneider has done that for us in the past, but we'd like to do more and more. And I know our team is pushing them for when it comes to especially the new chillers to do systems that are not only energy efficient but also are easy to be managed, and so that we can maximize our uptime. We're also working with partners to create innovation labs. A lot of partners that we work with actually come out with new products that are not well supported in India. So we would like to offer to be able to test some of this infrastructure hardware, whether it's building infrastructure or whether it's IT infrastructure, so that we can jointly make sure that it's well supported, and also our own engineers are trained on them. And of course, with some partners like the global hyperscalers and others, we would like to do not only compete but also cooperate with them, and in a lot of cases do a joint go-to-market. I think I've covered some of this, but just wanted to take you through some of the cultural changes that an organization faces. So when we started cloud, I mentioned, we had a major challenge where our own sales team were not comfortable, right, of reducing the revenue per customer and footprint per customer. That itself was a challenge that we successfully overcome. Then, about a year or so, year and a half back, when we saw that the global hyperscalers are a reality and are here to and are investing heavily in India, we wanted to, we came up with a strategy of allowing the customer to choose which cloud he wants. Even that faced a lot of resistance internally, because the product managers and others in the company who were working on this cloud so passionately, our own cloud, weren't very comfortable working with other partners. But we overcame that, and we've now been very, very successful in offering and managing cloud solutions across partners. Another challenge we faced was when we were doing the entire workflow automation, right? The end-to-end workflow that I talked about, completely automated. A lot of challenges where, various teams didn't want to, they were used to doing things on Excel, and they were used to doing things in a particular manner, and there had to be a cultural shift for the organization to adopt this. So while we were preaching to others, we had to make sure that we were also digitized internally, and we've overcome that also successfully. What are some of our expectations from our partners? From Schneider, of course, we want enhanced energy efficient systems. They've already given us the state of the art, but we want them to continuously innovate. We would like some of our IT vendors and others to see if they would be willing to do a pay-per-use model. So as we use more, because the way we are growing, we are not able to cope up with the demand, and it's very difficult for us to stock inventory. We want our partners to provide extended support. It's not some new technology that's supported in some other country. Just bring it here and not provide us the support, because we are running a mission critical business. Even a 1 second disruption basically means our business is down, right? So if we, while we have the UPS backup, generator backup, but if something goes down, it's like it takes days for us to recover. So, we want that kind of support from partners. And as I mentioned, an innovation lab where we can jointly test and jointly create new technology. That's all I had for this discussion. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yeah. Yeah. So NTT is actually a pioneer in 5G. So, again, I'm on the IT side, and NTT has multiple companies. One is NTT Communications, which is our parent, and there's NTT Docomo, which unfortunately exited India. They are doing a lot of innovation, in fact, are doing trials. There's actually a government delegation that's going to Japan next week or week after next to see the state of the art. So it's only a matter of time. It will eventually come. It'll just, the speeds that you'll get will just make whatever we're trying to do much, much more easier. So, like for example, when Jio launched, we saw a 20%, 25% increase in data volume. And, and other competitors like Airtel also, started giving better pricing as well as better, everybody had to improve their networks because there was stiff competition. We saw a huge uptake in the customer adoption because newer and newer applications can be used. So 5G is only a matter of time. There's one there.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for the mic to come to you so everyone can hear your question.
Hi,
Thank you.
Sanjay Verma. I want to ask, there are a lot of real-time applications. There are a lot of real-time applications, like where we do controls as well.
Yeah.
So far we had been talking about IoT, which is primarily collecting data, which is for management and dashboards. But do you foresee the cloud-based solutions for real-time applications as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only a matter of time. I think in any new technology, right, there is a adoption curve, and I think we are probably at an early stage in that curve. So it's only a matter of time. When, for example, cloud computing started, most customers were using it only for DevOps and for testing and for DR. Now we are seeing main production applications. So it's only a matter of time.
Ricardo Tavares from TechPolis. Data centers are energy intensive. Some people try to locate them in cold places because you can save the energy from the refrigeration. India is not exactly, while there are places that are cold, most of the year the country is very hot. So how do you manage the competitiveness of Indian data centers in this environment? What's the role of energy consumption?
Okay. Well, brilliant question, and thank you for asking it. I should have covered that in my presentation. So there are two lifelines a data center has, right? One is power, reliable power, and you may have all the UPS itself, but at the end of the day, you want reliable power. And the second is your fiber connectivity, right? For an internet data center, you have two lifelines. So the best in India as of now, and of course this is changing, and once this changes across the country, you will start seeing data centers in different parts. Right now, believe it or not, the data center capital of India is Mumbai because you have the best power. And the third factor is where your customers are. So there are two types of businesses that we do. One is cloud computing, where it doesn't matter where your data center is. And one is enterprise applications hosting, where you need to be close to your customer. So Bombay's got the best fiber connectivity. Bombay's got the best power with people like Tata Power and Reliance. And Bombay's also got the financial capital, so it has almost all the major decision makers for data centers are in Bombay. Now, Bombay is not the best climate. The PUEs we achieve are in the range of 1.35 to 1.4. I'm sure we have companies within NTT that are doing PUEs of less than, around 1.2, and I'm sure there are even better ways of doing that. But with a climate like Bombay, so that's a very good point. Now, when you're doing a capital-intensive business, right, you need to make sure that you have enough demand. And if we get an anchor customer in a cold climate, and if we can find enough connectivity, like in Bombay we have, or in any of the major metros, we have 7 fiber providers coming to our data center being a carrier-neutral facility, then we are happy to do somewhere else. But, investing like $100+ million in a building to house, and then you don't get customers, that also is a big, big challenge. So we are working with some of the global large customers to see if they want to locate this in a more colder place so that they can get the benefits of the energy. There are also some states that are offering us really, really low-cost electricity. Right? So we've been approached by almost all the major state governments saying that we can give you electricity at this rate. But again, we want to make sure that we get customers are willing to move there. So the 3 factors, power, connectivity, and customer willing to move. And then, so that comes first because but obviously we would like to reduce the, make our data centers even more energy efficient, because it's a win-win for the environment, for the customers and us.
Thank you. Proximity of the time, I will say that he's going to be around, so you can ask your question, because we have next speaker and he has to catch the flight. So please
let him do the last question.
Okay, go ahead.
So Sharad, I'm from Vellore Institute of Technology, Ashwini Kumar. I have one small question. The technologies what you mentioned, whether it is analytics, cybersecurity, or the IoT, we have the very good student potential in the campus. The point what you mentioned about the innovation labs, is there any possibility that you can extend that and collaborate with us?
Yes, absolutely. We are working with some of the, we are very close to IIT Bombay, so we are working with IIT Bombay and a few others. So we are happy we can meet after this and we can certainly look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharad. Thank you very much for very strong insight and everything. And as a token of our sustainable appreciation, this is a plan for you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Really appreciate it.